Hey everybody, this is Jaden with Growth in Music, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a complete in-depth look on the song Hey Joe by Jimi Hendrix. And recently I took a poll on the channel asking you guys what you wanted to see. Did you want to see an acoustic guitar-based tutorial video or an electric guitar-based tutorial video? And a little over 70% of you guys chose electric guitar bass, so this is for you guys. In terms of how I'm going to break this down today, I'm going to break this down into three main parts that the song requires. The first is going to be the infamous intro, so we're going to learn and start that right away. The second part is going to be the chord-based portion of the song, kind of like the verse area. And then the last is going to be like the bridge riff, the kind of the chromatic walk-up part of the song, and that's played a handful of times as well. Also, when we break down the chord portion here, it makes up well over the majority of the song. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach it two ways. The first way is going to be the way that Hendrix plays it with the Hendrix chords, and then the second way is going to be the same chords, but more in a beginner-friendly way. So I'm going to explain both of those for you in this video as well, in case you're a beginner or even intermediate, and some of these chords are a little bit challenging. I will help you guys out with that. All right, starting off with the first chunk of the intro, what it's going to look and sound like is this. Cool. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to start off with a slide with my middle finger from the 3rd fret of the 2nd string to the 5th fret of the 2nd string. And we're also going to include the high open E string with it at the same time. So that little part is going to sound and look like this. Then what we're going to do is go completely reverse and do the same idea, but we're going to slide from 5 to 3, also including the open high string. Just like that. Now, from here, we have an available 3rd finger. This is key to make this lick roll off really smooth. We're going to grab the 4th fret of the 3rd string with our 3rd finger, slide from 4 to 2 on the 3rd string, and pull off to the open 3rd string. You can also pluck the open 3rd string, but something about that pull off allows you to grab the next note that we got to do, and it just rolls off nice and smooth. So up to this point, it looks and sounds like this. Cool. Once this feels good, we've got an open 4th string to 2nd fret 4th string hammer-on with the middle finger here. So if we include that, and then we're going to play the open low string, which is E, followed by the open E major chord. Cool. And again, with practice, with obviously time and practice, this should roll off nice and easily for you, and it sounds and looks like this. Awesome. So that's going to be the very first chunk of the intro. Next, we have this kind of a double stop part of the intro, and it looks like this. It's actually pretty easy, but it takes a little bit of practice. What we're going to do is we're going to start with a mini bar across the 5th and 4th string on the 4th fret, and we are going to do a slide just up 1 fret to 5. Just like that. Followed by the open low string. Then we're going to pluck the 5 and 5 that we're already on. Again, low string, 5 and 5, 4, and then E. So again, I'll play it a little bit slower, but all together. And then a little quicker, more up to speed. Awesome. Now, what you might have heard is what I did naturally, and to be honest with you, I'd have to listen really carefully to the intro. I added a little bass note and then an E all the way through. You can add that, or you can just get to E and strum it. Totally fine. Like I said, this I'd have to listen really carefully for it, but it just kind of rolls off nicely. So include that if you'd like to, but that's going to be the second to last part of the intro. Okay, for the last piece of the puzzle for this intro, we have the circular pentatonic type lick, and it looks and sounds like this up to about speed. It's pretty quick, but you can build up some speed pretty quickly, especially with some practice, and also just kind of experimenting with how you like to pick it. So before I get into anything, I'm down picking everything actually. Sometimes I naturally kind of up pick the last note, but not all the time. It's kind of just what feels natural, so definitely experiment with that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a small bar across the top 4 strings across the 7th fret, but we're only interested eventually in playing the 4th and 3rd string here. So we're just barring to kind of solidify everything and make it feel nice and strong and anchored down to the fretboard, but we're only gonna need those 2 notes eventually anyway. From here, we're gonna go ahead and pluck the 4th and 3rd string together, right? Another double stop. We're gonna hammer on the 9th fret to that 4th string, followed by the 7th fret that's already being barred on the 3rd string. And that's 1 rotation. We're gonna do 1 more. Okay. Followed by the last note, which is gonna be the 9th fret again. And we're gonna do a mini descending slide back to home. And I'm not really specifically picking a spot on the fretboard that I want to slide to. I'm kind of sliding back because I got to get into a chord shape in the next part. So we'll talk about that too. But like I had mentioned, you can really build up some solid speed with this lick because it's so circular. It's very pattern oriented here in the pentatonic scale. And even with a ton of down picks and not needing a bunch of alternate picks by any means, you can really build up some speed with this. Awesome. So at this point, you have gotten through the entirety of the iconic intro to this Hendrix tune. Now, we're going to get into the chord portion of the song, and I'm going to first start off by teaching it the Hendrix version way, but alongside with it, I'm going to give you alternatives. So stand by for that. But we're going to start off with a C chord, and it's going to be the bar chord version. So this is how when you listen to it, we're not hearing an open C, right? It would work, we could do that, but we're going to start hearing this buildup of more like bar chords, and you're going to kind of hear that in the dynamics of the playing in the actual song. So we're going to start off with this, it's going to be the A bar chord shape. So we're going to bar across the 3rd fret, all 5 strings only, not the 6th string, and we're going to make the double bar bar chord here. Okay, and we're gonna get to the strum pattern in just a minute, but I wanna get through all the chords first. So we've got C. Then next, we're gonna grab, it's gonna be a G, but the way that Hendrix plays it is going to be thumb over the top of the 3rd fret low string, followed by this F major 7 shape. Okay, so no barring involved. And remember, F major 7 is gonna come from this F chord shape here. And we are going to be in alignment with the 3rd fret since that's going to be our G bass note. So here what I'm doing, the trick is you want to make sure that you're obviously with the thumb looped over the top of the 3rd fret low string so we can make sure that bass note sounds, but we're going to mute the 5th string. Then what we're going to do is we do want to hear strings 4, 3, 2, and 1, or I'm sorry, 4, 3, and 2. And then the very high string, we're going to mute with the back of our 1st finger. So we got to mute the 5th string and the high skinny string, but everything else should sound. And that's gonna take some getting used to if you've never done it before, but again, I'm gonna give you an alternative in just a second, so bear with me. Then from there, we just did C, then we went to the Hendrix G chord. Then we're gonna go up and do the same thing 2 frets higher. We're gonna go to D here, same shape, just 2 frets higher on the 5th fret, and then same thing with that Hendrix chord on the 5th fret. Make sure you're muting. Then we're going to go up 2 more frets. We're going to grab the double bar on fret 7. That's going to be E. Okay, so we're going to stop there for a second. Here's the alternative. If you're a fan of just straight up bar chords, you could even do this. You could stick with the double bar for C, then the E major bar chord shape across the 3rd fret. That's still G. It's just not the Hendrix version, but that's fine. Same thing, we're going to move up 2 frets. We've got the double bar like the original way, followed by the E major bar chord, which most people at this point, if you're more of an intermediate or advanced, you've got down. So this is an option for sure. and then that E again. So we're really just substituting the Hendrix chord out. Now, if you're a complete beginner, totally fine. We can play this in open chords. What we're going to do is just take the chord names that we just played, which is going to be C, G, D, A, and E, and just play them in open position. So we could also go C, G, D, A, or A major, and then E major. So all open chords and all major chords here. Okay, once you find the way that works best for you, chord-wise, we're going to incorporate a strum pattern now. So I'm actually going to play in the original Hendrix version, but again, feel free to utilize the other chord variations if you need to. But what we're going to do for all of the chords is it's going to be a down, 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 up. Okay, one more time. Down, 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 up. And I'm purposely muting just so you guys can hear it, but I think it's a great tool in the beginning to just mute if you need to, so that there's no distractions of chords. But we're going to add that to everything except for the last E. That one's going to get a little bit of a different, shorter strum pattern because we have a little lick that follows it. Okay, so if we add this to all of our chords minus the last E bar chord, it's going to sound like this. Cool. It's awesome how it just connects and builds up the neck like that. All right, once we get to E, the strum pattern is going to be down, down, down. Okay, it's pretty quick. Down, down, down. Following this, we actually have a lick here. And it's funny. I'm curious to see if you guys can notice what famous riff this sounds almost identical to, and then I'll tell you what it is. If you were thinking Whole Lotta Love by Led Zeppelin, that is exactly what comes to mind, and you are not wrong. But what we're going to do for this lick is we're going to grab the 7th fret of the low string, followed by the 5th fret of the 5th string, followed by the 7th fret of the low string again, 5th fret, 5th string again. So now obviously there's a little rhythm to that, so you want to practice building up some speed, and we're going to jump back into that E. Okay, so we went from E to the lick, back to E. But the second time after the lick, when we grab that E chord, the strum pattern is going to be down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, so if we imagine that we took the entirety of the C to the G to the D to the A chord part, now we're on the E in the lick area, it's going to sound like this. Down, 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 up. Back to E. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now, if you listen to the song, it's so repetitive. It's going to go back into the C, back into the G. It's going to build up again and again. What you're going to hear is there's going to be certain little licks over the top that are more in the background. And there's obviously a bit of a guitar solo that comes into play. Now, I'm not going to go into that today. If you guys do want that, let me know in the comments, along with any other riffs or songs that you want tutorials of. I'd be happy to look into those in the near future. So let me know of that. But that part that we just learned takes up almost 90% of the song, and it's so repetitive. So you'll want to practice that with any chord version that works best for you, whether it's the Hendrix original version, bar chords, or open chords. It's totally up to you. All right, awesome. At this point, you've gotten through the majority of the song. We have one more part to cover, and it's going to be this bridge riff. It's really cool. It's a great exercise, actually, and it's got a cool chromatic sound. So what's going to happen here is you're going to hear more near the middle to the end of the song. This lick will kind of come into play over the top of the chords that you just learned. So the lick looks and sounds like this. And all I'm doing here is utilizing single notes. So the very first run is going to be the 3rd fret of the 5th string, followed by the open low, 1st fret of the low, 2nd fret of the low, then 3rd fret of the low. All right. Next thing we're going to do, all on the 5th string, is we're going to go 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So far. After this, I'm going to go to the low string and do the same thing. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so all of it put together so far. All right, the last three notes, we're back on the fifth string, and we're gonna go 4, 5, 6, and it's gonna eventually lead us into our E major bar chord from earlier. So I put everything together for you guys. And that's gonna get the first strum pattern of E, the down, 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 up. Okay, now the very, very last thing is that little lick that we did earlier, the one that sounds like Zeppelin. We're gonna do it again, but there's a couple times, if you listen very carefully, especially around this chromatic lick, that they change that little lick just a bit, and it sounds more bluesy, and it sounds like this. So it's super similar to what we did earlier, except one extra note. So all I'm doing here, just so that we can include this in our playing, is I'm going 7th fret low string again, 5th fret, 5th string, 7th fret low string, 5th fret 4th string. That's our new note. Slight bend, and then 7th fret of the 5th string. All right, if we take the bridge riff that we just learned and worked on and we put it all together, it looks and sounds like this. Super cool, super fun to play, and actually, like I said, a really great exercise if you're ever just warming up. Very similar to the spider exercise, actually. Great. So like I had mentioned before, this song is made up of 3 parts, and it's really just all about knowing how many times a certain part is played before the next one comes about. So the intro is obviously played one time all the way through, and then we're already into the chord portion, and that's the majority of the song. So you'll be doing that climb with the chords quite a few times. You'll want to listen in specifically on when that chromatic bridge riff comes into play, because that comes in a handful of times. It's actually a really awesome part of the song, and it's this cool climatic part, this climb. So definitely work on all 3 parts. You'll listen and you'll really hear that part for yourself come alive. But if you're having trouble with any of the parts, obviously return back to the video. I'll break these down into chapters so you can kind of find them a little bit easier, but definitely go at your own speed. Some of these parts are a little bit tricky, but hopefully the beginner and intermediate variations will help you guys a lot. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to support the channel, if you want to see more videos just like this, or videos on anything or everything guitar related moving forward every single week, definitely subscribing is going to be the best way to do that, and also support us here on the channel since we're still a small and growing channel. But again, if you want to be notified, if you want to see everything and support us here, subscribing is going to be the best way to do that.